Hi, folks. So I'm going to give you a little walk around of how to use Substack surveys and some of the things that I've learned just using the technology, and then also just some psychological things that can be really helpful to invite people in to fill them out. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Was ready to go in. So surveys are located in stats in your dashboard. So you go to your publication dashboard and then you want to be in stats and then you're going to be in surveys here. And so I've done a couple. So I did one specifically for a mini mind. And the idea with this one was it was like a beta testing to see if it would give me enough data to go wider with this. So it's about publishing archetypes. I need to add way more questions in because it was too generic in response. So it wasn't giving people like a clear steer on the publishing archetype. So if you filled that one in, that is why it's on hiatus. And then this one was barriers to creation. So we're going to head into this one so I can show you how this one worked. So if I press the edit button to start with, and we'll just walk through how it is. So unlike Google, forms, we don't actually get a space at the top to be able to explain what the survey is. It's straight into the questions. So it needs to be embedded into a page or a post. So you can give some context. You can explain to people if they fill it in, you'll give them a prize, or they'll be entered into a prize, or they might win something. Because surveys need to be incentivized. Like, we don't need more forms to fill in life, do we? So people could do it to be helpful, but mostly, they'll be looking for an incentive, that kind of dopamine hit of like completing it. They want to know how many questions it is. So if you can put how many questions it is as well. And then you've got that option there to do a couple things a couple of different ways. So you can have your multiple choice, your text, your number, single choice, and then obviously country region if you're asking them where they're from. And then obviously here they can just write into the box. And this one, obviously, they have to tick the box. And then single choice if you just want them to choose one thing. This isn't a particularly long survey. I used it a little while ago. I'm trying to think now, might have been Christmas time last year. So it's not too long. And I will have said it's 8 questions or something. That tends to be what I stick with. Between 8 and 12 questions. We've all filled in the ones that are far longer than that. And then responses. So it's going to give you a percentage breakdown here. So I was asking people, okay, how long have you been writing on Substack? So I can see from the people that filled it in, my keen beans, 30% of them under 3 months. 24% of them 12 to 24 months, and then I've got 21 at 6 to 12 months, 18 at 3 to 6 months, 24 months or longer is 6%. If I did that again, I would get completely different results because it's just who's decided to fill it in. So ideally, you would want 100 people to fill it in to be a good data set, to be considered a good data set, but I just go with whatever happens and I'll push it as much as I want to push it. So this one was 33. So for me, that was fine. So what people write about, this is helpful to me because it enables me to have a snapshot. So when I look at people's Substack publications, I'm not thinking what is the one thing that they write about. I'm holding it as a whole. So it enables me to have a little bit of a look and see, okay, like what are the types of people who are attracted to being a member at Sparkle and Substack, and what are they writing about? And then whether they feel creatively free. This is important to me because if people are wearing their publication and their publishing, their pull to publish as like a heavy blanket, like I could adjust my language to address that. Like, don't wear your publishing schedule like a heavy blanket. Come on, guys, like let's have fun with this. So it's just the subtle questions that can help me to reflect my language. So these people mostly feel creatively free half of the time, and if not, most of the time. And then there's some of them, 2 of them, that have said not really, they don't feel free. So whatever's happened, either they haven't started publishing yet or they've boxed themselves in, not many of them. And so if you started your Substack again, would you do anything differently? And so some people, the mindset is not necessarily there's plenty of room to shift. Other people is learn more before jumping in. People are saying try and get some overall picture. So that's something that I can take forward because I can be like, here is an overall picture of how Substack works. Like that's the video that I make, right? Because people are asking for that. If you get one or more people asking for something, then you can kind of clearly see it would be really helpful for you to offer that in your content or in a video or in a tutorial. So people are saying specifics about content pillars. I wouldn't do anything differently. No, I would come up with a better name. I'm happy that I dived in. So a real mix. Sometimes you can do one thing in service to like one pain point. So I could put on, okay, guys, we're going to do a 20-minute brainstorm around Substack names. I've had some beginners join recently. Let's do it in chat. Other times it could be part of a workshop. Other times you would just let it go and think, oh, it's probably not that relevant. Now, this was interesting to me because I wanted to ask them how many Substacks they pay for. So mostly it's generous and people are paying between 3 and 5 Substacks. And then between 1 and 3, we've got 36 people, 36% of people paying. And then it goes down. So some people not paying at all, 6% paying for more than 10. Bearing in mind this model didn't used to exist, right? So people, were in memberships and stuff, but then things started shifting and changing, and people have got used to the Substack ecosystem. So if somebody was saying to me, or, people can only afford 1 or 2 Substacks, I would be like, well, 2 people who filled in my survey pay for 10, and 15 people in my survey pay for 3 to 5. So, that squashes that self-limiting belief. So people would use it as an excuse not to publish or something. How many Substacks they subscribe to. So this is really important because we very quickly get into overwhelm territory when we're subscribed to a lot of Substacks. So over 50, 36%, under 50, 27, under 25, 24. Over 100 is 6%. So the people that are over 100 will definitely have lent into turning on smart notifications, I would have thought, and push notifications in the app. Again, a lot of my language in the past has been how you can manage your Substack overwhelm because people tell me they're overwhelmed a lot. And then this is obviously selfishly for me, I want to know how people are using it. Is it part of their ecosystem and their business, or are they just doing this like for a passion project? Like, how does it all fit? So that was an interesting question to ask. And then, is there anything else you'd like to offer or add? People like to be helpful. So this was a bit of a curveball question at the end, but I think it's really helpful because it's getting them to reflect on a previous version of themselves, but also asking them to be helpful to others. And that helps people to feel good and nice. So that was why that one's in there. And then I send a little thank you question at the end. I don't know why someone's written, I hope men are welcome, but they have. So that kind of is the like leaving at the door, the final thought, and people have been able to answer that. So when you're building your survey, you want to be able to embed it in a post. So the way that you do that is you would just press the share button here and it'll jump into an email and ask people to start the survey there. So that's going to put them in, it's going to put it into an email and not a Substack post. But if you wanted to just get the link, if we'll go back, mm, um, here, and then edit, and then do this one, copy link there. So you can just copy the link and then obviously you can put it into a post or you can embed it in an email, whatever you want to do, change the text and stuff like that. So yeah, I really like it. The only thing is that I've discovered that has been a bit of a barrier, if I'm honest, in working with it outside of Substack is that I did one for a client and people had to create a Substack profile to be able to fill it in. So they already need a Substack profile. Now, that's probably fine for all of you guys, but I think really worth mentioning. They'll need to fill in a profile. They'll need to choose a handle. That's a bit of admin, all that stuff. So it's not like using a Google form in that same way. The other side of it, I think, is just holding what you want from that. So, the data that you're asking for needs to fuel what is interesting to you. So it could be about their experience with your Substack, but remember, the most vocal people will probably fill it in, and the quieter people that are just happily marrying along might not. And then you'll think everybody thinks a certain way. So you've got to be careful with your mindset when you get feedback through a survey. The other side that you can use is polls, which I actually prefer in some ways, just if you have a set of thoughts and you want to just kind of get that a sort of response, people pressing the button on a poll. So you could just insert a poll in your Substack post if you wanted to do that. I'll do it on the visibility challenge. So say if you wanted to just say, are you looking forward to the challenge? It just gets people sort of participating. That's why I like it. Where's it gone? Oh, here. So would say, are you looking? Oh, what was in there? And then I always give two positives. And then I always make the duration forever because it's more generous if someone stumbles across it when it's finished that they might want to click that button. I don't hide the vote count, I just leave that on. So that is quite nice. So the energy of it, I should put question mark. The energy of it's nice. And also, I could go deeper with that and ask them about their pain points and problems. Because that's all on a post, I'm not asking them to click into a survey and like give me the sort of depths of despair about visibility. It's just a fun, light-hearted click here, click here, click here. Thanks so much. Like, can't wait to see you in September, which is would be what I would be doing this for. And then I would send that out. So I'd probably ask them about pain points. I'd probably ask them about struggles and challenges. I'd probably just reassure them that they're in the right place. And all of this is generating buy-in for something that I'm doing further down the line. Now, I've already decided that I want to do the visibility challenge for free, but with an optional VIP upgrade. So that'll be happening in September 2025. If you're watching this in the future, you'll have missed it. But because I already know that, and I can already reverse engineer the journey that I want people to go on and how they recognize the value, if I was doing a survey, I'd probably be asking them about that, like to get deeper into their challenges about visibility. You can also do things where if you've got people in your pocket, like, on WhatsApp and stuff, you can just ask them the questions like, what are your main challenges around coming to this work? What are your main challenges around being consistent? What are your main challenges around whatever it is that you have identified that is something that they struggle with that you can help them with? So I'll leave it there, but hopefully that's helpful just in terms of trying to pull on the emotion of people being helpful in a survey and completing a survey and you incentivizing it versus the poll and then how people can fill the poll in and kind of see that stuff reflected back. You can also do a follow-up post to share results as well. People are always interested in results of polls and surveys. So if you've got something that you think would be in service to your community, it's probably worth thinking about that as well. Okay, guys, so a great tool to add into your toolbox to get to know your audience more deeply, to get to know your paid subscribers more deeply. It's a nice to have, but it helps build the big picture of you understanding your ideal client and your ideal paid subscriber as well.